maybe to start, I would like to ask Ina, Kevin, and Terrance, and of course also Stephanie, then to introduce yourself. And for Ina, Terrance, and Kevin, we would love to hear a bit about your backstory, a bit about the challenges, a bit of what you essentially don't share on a pitch to start with.
Nice to meet you guys today. So from the pitch, you can hear that it's kind of a interesting and niche problem that we're solving, but it's actually a very big market ahead, and we can see the market is up and coming and it's growing. So it kind of all ties back to sort of my backstory and also my background. So a little bit winding back to many years ago. So I actually graduated from HKU bachelor degree accounting and finance. And then, I was a typical, business student going to banking. And then at that time, at least like a few years in banking, like to be honest, back in 2016, even when I left banking, I still don't see, anything that can disrupt bank at that time. Technology isn't that big, fintech isn't that big. 2016, like the banks are running as usual, and they're probably one of the, biggest stock and also market cap in the world at that time. And but at that time, I switched my career to VC, and that put me in touch with, a lot of North American startups, European startups, Australian startups, and Hong Kong ecosystem was, just started to have its third wave at that time. So at that time, I would start developing my vision of the future, and then I understand a lot about private equities and venture capital and also startup ecosystem. And I just started to realize that, how big it could be. And then also, how interesting it is. So a lot of people think about startup, everyone is saying, I remember 2 3 years ago, like people were still saying, oh, startup is just a cool term. Everyone's just doing it, for the sake of doing it. But actually, like after being in this ecosystem and in this industry for a while, I do see that, like venture capital startup ecosystem is going to evolve in the next few years, right? It's going to have a massive change in terms of, our daily lives, the way that we do business, and then a lot of things in the future. Because despite, we have limited resources, but we are innovating, different ways to have a way more efficient ways to use these resources and then provide way more value to people. So the value gap is still growing. It still has a lot of things. But when I come back and look at Hong Kong ecosystem and then look at startup ecosystem in general, apart from Silicon Valley, so I see, there is funding problem, there is talent problem, there is knowledge problem. And then there are a lot of people, who are in this industry, they have the expertise specifically in this industry or like startup methodology. They charge a huge premium to help solve all these problems. And then we see that, there could actually be a way to innovate out from the way that, this ecosystem or this industry or people are doing businesses. And also the private equity, because we have seen, secondary market has grown so big. And what about private equity? Like the premium, as Aditya said, is getting higher and higher. So the story that I met Aditya is actually very interesting. So if you might, you might haven't noticed that, we are actually many years apart in terms of age. So I went back to HKU in 2018. I studied master. And that's actually put me back to interact with the new generation of students. And that's where I start to learn a lot about, their thoughts and then how they see the world. And you do see the velocity is changing a lot faster in terms of, how they see things, how they think about, like doing things. So that's actually very interestingly, like put me in touch with Aditya, who, who was basically talking about, venture capital, which I've only got to know about it after my banking career, and then talking about, private equity and startup ecosystem and stuff like that. So that's how we decided to start Bamboo Network.
I'm Terrance. Once again, my pleasure joining today's event. A little bit background for myself. I study information system and business for my bachelor in lovely Hong Kong U. So working in banks for 2 years, and then I started my first company that get into the Hong Kong Science Park. And that company was actually a used car trading platform aiming to build an ecosystem that providing all kind of service around for the driver, or we call the car lovers. Back then, one of the service that really stand out was the motor insurance quotation, which we had achieved over 10 million sales within 1 year with zero marketing expenses. So after 3 years, sadly to say, because of different view for the company future development with my partners, so I decided to sell my share and start something even bigger. And that was about 2 years ago. At the time I sold my first venture, I would say there are only 50 to 60% confidence level to start another venture, which is a big insurance platform providing all kind of insurance product and connecting all insurance company in Hong Kong, providing 24/7 quotation and application services using blockchain technology at the back-end framework. And guess what? I decided to come back Hong Kong, and do the master program. I did the MBA program actually, and trying to read the books again to review my first startup company and get prepared for the next one. So this is the simplified version of my backstory.
So back then I was also a Hong Kong U graduate. I was engineering degree. But Hong Kong, it's a financial center. So my first job is also working in a bank, in a local bank. So I've been on the commercial banking for over 15 years, as I mentioned in the deck. For so many years, I kind of being a little bit stuck in my career, going to the middle management. Then I start to think maybe I go for studying EMBA. By the time then I got an EMBA, that how I get more into work on a startup, how to build a startup stuff. Then I start to talk to a few colleagues by the time who was also in Citibank before, and we kind of see a lot of deals. We think it's profitable, doable, but the bank is having a lot of restriction, red tape that they can't do it. So we start to think if we can build a platform or something that we can make a business that we can capture all these deals and businesses. It was really hot by the time, like a P2P business all over the world, but it also happened to had a lot of problems with the P2P business in China by the time. So we kind of think over it and see is probably because a lot of investors, they do not have the knowledge on their investment, on how to take the risk on the debts. So it's not that easy to do the P2P. And in Hong Kong, we also have the restriction here on over the P2P. So we kind of go back to see, we only deal with the licensed money lenders as they are, they're not that large institute, but they have the flexibility, but they are also licensed. So they have the sophistication to deal with this kind of debts. That's how we get started. And actually, I was not that prepared to come out by the time, my another co-founder, which is our current COO by the time, is working in another bank as a division head. And suddenly he told me that, oh, Kevin, I'm ready to come out and I'm going to quit tomorrow. And I'm asking him, your wife is just got pregnant. Are you sure quitting the job? It's having good benefits, staff benefits, medical, all the stuff, you're giving it up. Okay, he was so firm by the time. So okay, I said, I'll come with you. So that's how we get started. And we're quite lucky to get a few investors from the very beginning. And it's been 1 year ago.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I do have quite a different background. So I'm a lawyer from the United States, and my background is in public interest law. So mainly immigration, forced migration and refugee law, anti-discrimination law. But in the past decade, I've been based in Cairo and Abu Dhabi before coming to Hong Kong. And my focus in all three locations has been on developing projects to strengthen community legal services, to train young lawyers and to connect NGOs and the general public with legal resources. And so I'm a very staunch believer in the development of clinical opportunities for students in all areas of legal education so that their learning can be as practical and relevant as possible, as early and often as possible. So at HKU now, I'm part of building the LITE program, LITE, which stands for Law, Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship. And it's designed to be interdisciplinary. So it's with the Faculty of Law, but it's in conjunction too with the Department of Computer Science. And we're reaching out to the business school and also social sciences. So we want it really to bring together students of all backgrounds and all areas of study so that they can think creatively about how to use legal tools, how to use legal tech, how to think innovatively to make the legal system more understandable and more accessible to a variety of stakeholders in Hong Kong. And so the idea is kind of twofold. First is that it's incredibly helpful as a learning opportunity to get students involved in real world projects. And second, there are a number of organizations in Hong Kong that don't have access to lawyers and legal information and who could really benefit from collaborating with law students. So the program is only about a year old, and it's LITE is a term that describes a number of courses in the law faculty. So this includes taught courses, which provide the foundation legal concepts, and then also experiential courses, which get involved in students who apply their knowledge and understanding of the law to transactional, legal, and documentation issues faced by Hong Kong-based organizations. So they get paired with these organizations and they curate projects over the course of a semester. And these are designed to be kind of mini consulting projects almost. And we're really looking to develop the students' skill sets, their mindsets in terms of thinking about what is the value that they add, who are they working with, and what are their short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And at first, our host organizations for these projects were mainly entrepreneurs and founders, for-profit companies, but early stage. Now this semester, we've introduced a new course, which is experiential, and it's specifically designed for NGOs, for social enterprises, and for other civil society organizations in Hong Kong. So our range of partners is growing as well. And the one caveat to all of this is that we're working with students, so we can't provide legal advice. The students can't provide legal advice. And so all of our projects are specifically geared to do more legal research type projects, which includes case law gathering, writing legal memos, legal issue spotting. And the range of projects has been quite wide and quite on the cutting edge. So last semester, our projects dealt with metadata, rules about web scraping of public information, platform liability issues, rules about blockchain use in mainland China, website terms and conditions, just to name a few. And then we've also had our students work on legal primers, so explanations of key documents, so licensing agreements, distribution agreements, supplier agreements. And this semester, we also have a group of students who are working with a social enterprise on monitoring and evaluation, so brainstorming ways to set up systems for measuring and demonstrating the impact that this organization is having. And so, even though we're still young, we're continuing to grow. So the first course was, one course for undergraduate students. The LITE program now has 7 courses, and it's undergraduates and taught postgraduates. So we have graduate students as well. And we're continuing to expand the range of experiential courses that we offer. The first round of our experiential courses had 12 students that helped 9 companies. And this is the second semester running that course, and the numbers have doubled, which is fantastic. Our first round of partners included companies from Cyberport, Idendron, FinTech Association of Hong Kong. This semester, we've also included Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. So our range of host organizations for students is continuing to grow. But then also we're thinking about how do we expand our network beyond just potential hosts for student projects? How do we get law firm lawyers involved on a pro bono basis? Because they can serve as mentors to students. They can get involved in the projects, and then maybe our project scopes can expand to maybe include projects that involve legal advice. So I'm really excited at the progress we've made so far. It's been really meaningful interaction for the students and from the companies. we've gotten really great feedback from students and from our project partners. And, the students really haven't shied away from new areas of the law. A lot of times, they're researching areas that don't have a lot of precedent. And so they're having to be really creative and innovative, which I think is absolutely a fabulous learning opportunity. And they're also having to deal with project management and develop real world skills that transcend the actual substance of the law. So I think it's been a really valuable building experience for us.